Hey guys, Corpse Flood here with another episode of Corpse Flood's Game Flood. The deals just keep on rolling here. I've got a bunch of cool stuff from different Facebook trades in the game groups and local Facebook trades and deals. Also, some stuff I just found in stores and in my travels out of town and stuff like that. So let's get right into it. First thing here is I was on Facebook and one of the local buy-sell groups, like I generally try to keep tabs on, and I seen a Super Nintendo up for probably about 4 or 5 days. I kind of saw it sitting there. The guy just had it listed with just the system, 3 controllers, and a couple games, and he wanted $100. It was some pretty meh games, so I messaged him and I said, hey, would you do $50 just for the system and the games that you listed? And also, do you happen to have any other old games? Thinking he might have, like an N64 or NES kicking around. And he goes, oh yeah, I've got a couple of more games. I got Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2, Super Punch-Out, and X-Men Mutant Apocalypse. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. He's like, but I wouldn't do it for 50. So I said, would you do 60? And he's like, absolutely. So awesome to me. We'll show you how it looks here. Got the system, special gold edition. Needs a bit of a cleanup, but I'm up for the challenge. And then we've got 3 controllers here. One original Super Nintendo controller, one Super Pad, and one knockoff one. Altogether not too bad. And then he had these games listed with it. He had Monopoly and Wheel of Fortune Deluxe Edition. But he also had the Super Game Boy listed, as well as Tetris, and one of my favorites, Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. It's a little on the yellowish side, but not too bad. Could use a little cleanup. And I was happy to come across that game. Actually, it was the first game I ever owned, and it's only the second time I've ever come across it. So that's cool. And then, as stated, here's Super Punch-Out. Great shape. X-Men Mutant Apocalypse. A little bit of damage on the label there. Nothing too bad. Nothing on the picture. And then, of course, Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2. A little bit of damage on those labels too, but I already have those games, so they'll be definitely going up for trades. The system too will probably go up for trade or sale to a friend or two that have been bugging me or looking for one that I'm asking. Next time you come across one, hit me up. So I'll be glad to help out the community and my friends. I love doing that. And moving along, and this is all from my retro game group trades. All this other stuff is local, so move right along into these. First up from this first trade was Donkey Kong Country for Game Boy Advance. Got it for Super Nintendo. Cool to have a portable copy of it. Then I also got a couple odd items here. I got Mortal Kombat 4's box, just the box only, and Streets of Rage 2's manual. Kind of stuff I'm holding on to. I have Mortal Kombat 4, so it's good to have the box for that. I mean, I'll take any box, but I won't really go out of my way for that kind of stuff. Card only stuff, I'm totally happy just having the cart as long as it's in good shape. Boxes are welcome, but they won't affect how much I'm willing to pay for a game. So they're basically just an icing on the cake thing for me. And then next up, we got Soul Calibur 3 and Dynasty Warriors 3. Dynasty Warriors 3 I already had, but my copy was in a little bit rougher shape than his, so I figured why not throw that in the trade. Next up, another small trade. Yeah, both these were for like 1 game or 2 games each. Starting off, we got Final Fantasy IV Advance. Always good to get another Final Fantasy game I don't have. And kind of a bummer, but also awesome in general. A bunch of cart disc. I don't know. They're a little bit of both. PSP games, and they're all killer though. They're pretty good titles. It's a real shame I don't have the cases for these. But starting off from one of my favorite RPG series, Tales of the World, Radiant Mythology. One I didn't have, so I'm getting closer. Hopefully I'll finish that set by the end of the year. And we got Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together. And we got Spectral Souls and the Words That Are Too Small to Read. Then we got Manakemia, Student Alliance. A lot of these are like Atlas and NIS RPGs, so I'm happy to get these. Generation of Chaos. This one's a little bit odd. I don't know if this is like a replacement shell, but I've never actually seen a clear plastic PSP game. They always seem to be this like white plastic shell, but either way it's in good shape. We got Riviera, The Promised Land, and Crimson Gem Saga. And I'm not sure if this is a RPG, but I'm willing to bet it probably is. Popolacqua. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but that's my shot at it. And Ragnarok Tactics. All pretty awesome games. I'm happy to try those out. I was a little, like I said, I was a little bummed that I didn't have a case for it, but I actually figured out a solution. I've had a hell of a time trying to figure out how to display my Game Boy Advance, and stuff of that kind of variety. Like all my other games I can put on shelves, but Game Boy games are too small and you can't really side face them. You won't be able to tell what they are. So I figured out the solution. I seen in one of my game groups here. I got a binder with some card sleeves and works perfectly. Every game fits in there nice and snug, nothing too loose. For the Game Boy Advance, I can do 2 games per pouch, and it actually works good for PSP games too. So that's what I'll be doing with those until I find a case for them. I'll probably go after those eventually, especially some of the better ones like the Tales of game. I'm definitely going to want to get a case for to go with my set. But yeah, for now that's pretty awesome. Also, this next game I seen in a friend of mine, the Game Grinders, one of his recent pickup videos, and it reminded me of how awesome the game was, and also reminded me that I don't have it yet. So we got the original Tekken Tag Tournament. Can't wait to play that with some buddies. It's a pretty awesome game. I used to play a lot of that back in the day, and I don't know why I didn't own it. Probably just because I had buddies who had it I could borrow it from. Moving on, next pickup. Or a trade, sorry. This is a pretty big one. I had some, as you've seen in my giant mega RPG video, I got a couple heavy hitter ones. I got Tales of Destiny and Dragon Quest 7, Dragon Warrior 7, were both in that lot, and they were both doubles. I ended up trading a guy from the Minnesota Retro Game Society. A guy I'd done a trade with a long time ago, but I remember he had some pretty good stuff. So when I put up all my traders on the pages, I had a couple people definitely asking for a Tales of Destiny, and a couple people also asking for the Dragon Warrior 7. A lot of people didn't really have much in the way of trades. A lot of people were trying to buy it, but like I said, one of my favorite things about this hobby is being able to trade games. I love it. I don't know what it is about the trade, but it's fun to me, And so I gave this guy basically the first pick, because I knew he'd have some cool stuff for trades. So without any further ado, I got a bit of a mixed bag from him too, so it's some pretty cool stuff. Starting off, Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Surprisingly, I don't have that. I have the regular Street Fighter 2 and the arcade cab, so I'm going to eventually try to get all 4 versions of Street Fighter 2 for the SNES. Next up is Mickey Mania. A pretty solid platformer there. I think Araya will really like that, especially with how much she liked a couple of the other Mickey Mouse and DuckTales games and stuff like that. Next, I believe, is a shmup, and it's Thunder Spirits. Always happy to get a shmup. I don't really have that many. I mean, I've got some pretty heavy hitter ones. Like I've got what's it called? Space Megaforce Complete in Box, and that was just kind of a fluke from my cousin, so that's cool to get. But yeah, I've got, a couple per system. I really want to branch out and get more of those. They're a really fun genre. Next up, some N64 games. We got Rush 2, which a buddy of mine and I used to rent like all the time. I'm not big on racing games, but the N64 has some of the funnest racing games I've ever played, and we would just rent that and screw around on the stunt track that they have on here. We just hit jumps, try to just destroy ourselves the funniest way possible. We use the codes to put on like moon gravity and spawn in place, and if you kept hitting the spawn in place, you would keep spawning above where you were, so we'd like keep hitting the button really fast until we were like a mile above the track, and then just drop it and hit a ledge on the way, and we just super flip. I don't know. Awesome stuff. If you've ever played that game, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just fun to screw around in that. We just pointlessly play that for hours until like the time ran out and stuff. We rarely even actually did any of the races. It was just rent it to do stupid stunts. Next up, as I stated, Mickey Speedway USA. I traded for an extra copy. It's a little bit rougher, but like I said, it's for the kids, so if it gets wrecked, it's not as much of a big deal as if my only copy gets wrecked. So I'm kind of stockpiling a couple of the good multiplayer kid games, so the girls can play, and when my son's older, he can play with them and all that kind of stuff. So they're all gonna have their own custom controller to go with that. Hopefully, I'll give that to Araya in an upcoming video, and you guys can see the look on her face when she gets it. Next up, one of my favorite games out of this, and one of the surprising things with all the N64 games I come across that I didn't have, is Mario Party 2. The Mario Party games elude me like crazy. I don't know what it is about them, but I just seem to miss out on them like all the time. I've got, people who have them want to hold on to them, and besides that, I don't seem to find them, like, even for a ridiculous price that I can maybe, haggle down. Nothing. I mean, I could buy them online, but what's the fun in that? I always want to try and pick it up in the wild. So now I got 1 and 2. I just need 3, but I barely have any of the other ones. Like, that's kind of a shameful collection for me. I really like the Mario Parties. Of course, they're fun to play with friends, but I've got like all the portable versions. I've got 1 and 2, and I think I just have 8 and a disc-only copy of 7. It's pitiful. Anyway, moving along. The only NES game I got in this lot, we got The Guardian Legend, a game I've been wanting to try for quite a while. It's a bit of a hybrid game. It's kind of like a isometric kind of RPG-ish dungeon crawler kind of thing, and then there's also like shmup levels, I believe, in it too, where you fly around, and I don't know, it looks awesome. Anything I've ever seen on it. I might be getting a bit of that confused with another game, but anyway, moving on. A couple other games I really wanted. I got a copy of Shenmue 2. Finally, with Shenmue 3 coming out, I really want to play through those again. I haven't ever played the second one, and the first one I got pretty far into, but then the place that rented it, I don't know, someone either bought it or didn't return it and just kept it. But yeah, I've never owned it, and I've missed out on it a few times very narrowly, which is a bummer, and my Dreamcast collection is kind of pathetic, but if all else fails, I'll probably just end up burning a copy and playing it until I can get a hold of my own. Anyway, next up is Valkyrie Profile 2, Silmeria. So now I have 2 of the Valkyrie Profile games, but not the one I really want, the PS1 version, but I can't wait to play through that too. I think I'll wait till I get the very first one and play that first, then play the second one, because I really am against playing the sequel before playing the original. Even in the case of people saying the original sucks, I always I keep that in mind, but I'll play the first one to, even if it's not big on story, I always, like to see where it comes from, see how it improves. Anyway, moving along, the last Facebook group trade I did was one I initially just saw the first 4 games the guy had. He posted some PS1 games, and I saw one in there, and I'm like, oh man, I hope he just part that one out. And I was like, hey, would you do trades? I didn't even tell him I was interested in it. And he's like, oh yeah, maybe I would. And I sent him what I had, and he's like, yeah, sure, yeah. And he was gonna send me all 4 for what he wanted. And you'll know which one is the one I wanted when I show you. So without further ado, first up we have Spyro the Dragon, the first one. Spyro Year of the Dragon. Another one I've been wanting to try. I think I played a little bit of it back in the day, but I remember it being really cool. Is Fear Effect. And I said you'd know, but I'm obviously going to tell you anyway, and I left it for last because it's the best. I finally got my copy of Breath of Fire 3 for PS1. Not an expensive game or really a hard to find game, apparently, but I've never come across it. I came across a disc-only copy one time, and someone beat me up by like 5 minutes for getting it, but it would bug me not having the case anyway, so I'm happy to get that. So we started our trade, and as I do pretty much anytime I'm trading, I'm like, oh yeah, do you have anything else that you have posted I just didn't see, or do you have anything else you're thinking of trading or anything like that? He's like, oh yeah, I got a couple of N64 games and this and that, and then he told me about one of the games, and I basically almost didn't even care about the PS1 games anymore, because he told me he had this Ogre Battle 64, my most wanted N64 game. I think I finally got it. I'm so happy to have it. I've been wanting it forever. I've wanted it since back in the day. I used to rent that game too from the same place a buddy of mine used to rent Rush 2 from, and same thing happened with that happened to Shenmue. Someone just rented it and didn't bring it back. So I've been wanting it since then, and finally got it. So I don't know. There's one heavy hitter for the N64 out of the way. I still got quite a few to go, but I'm about halfway there. So we'll keep trudging along and picking those up. He ended up doing a trade just for like a couple pretty common games actually for all this stuff. So I was more than happy with that. He took probably the rarest game was Maximum Carnage for the Genesis. So it was pretty awesome that he did me a solid on that trade, because I was like, oh man, I'm not going to have enough stuff to trade for that Ogre Battle. I just know he's not going to be interested in what I've got left, because I'd done all these other trades already, and I was like, oh man, I'm going to lose out. I'm just going to be so bummed about it. But he did me a definite solid with that one. Anyway, moving along, getting a little too chatty. There's a little bit of a local pawn shop. It's pretty scuzzy looking and a little shady. So I heard about it, I seen the sign a bunch of times. It's in kind of a crappy rundown hotel, and I just was pretty much avoiding it. But I've had a couple people now be like, dude, they get games in there sometimes. You might want to go look. You might not know what they're worth. You might get lucky. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then, like, after a couple people told me, I was like, whatever, I'll stop in there one of these days. So I actually stopped in there, and what do you know, they were right. I ended up getting the first Killzone, which miraculously I did not have. Now I have every Killzone game. Next up, I got physical copy of Pokemon Y. I've had that digital copy on my 3DS forever, since they did a promotion where you got to pick one of the games if you bought another qualifying game kind of thing. Back when they had the Nintendo Club, which I missed so much. Actually, that I acquired pretty much just to do a trade with the guy that I got the Mortal Kombat box in the, that little trade there. For that same guy, he's got a couple of games I'm wanting, so that's going out the door right away. And then last but not least, I got No Man's Sky. I was very pumped for this game. I almost bought it the day it came out. Only thing that stopped me was money, as it usually does, and obviously the brand new price of games is a big deterrent for me from buying games brand new. There's only very few games that I will actually buy at $80 Canadian when they come out, because that's, to me, it's ridiculous. Because like maybe a year and a half ago, brand new games were $60, but the Canadian dollar has gotten so crappy that that's no longer a thing. So $80 is just ridiculous to me, because even a year, like, I don't know, a year or 6 months ago, $70 was how much they were. So now $80, I'm like, absolutely not. The only way I'm paying $80 for a game is if it comes with a statue, or I gotta have it. So anyway, with all the negative reviews, I never ended up picking it up, and I was like, yeah, maybe I'll wait till it's in the dumping, because I do still want to try it, and I don't usually go by reviews, but when they're unanimously negative, that starts to get my attention, and it puts up a red flag for me. So how much did I end up paying for these three at the pawn shop? I did some power haggling, ended up getting all three of those for $30, so not too bad. Or was it 25? I think it might have even been 25. So not even $10 a game. Can't say no to that. They're all games I pretty choice games anyway. And that game not even being 2 months old, perfect. My disappointment will at least be cheap, I guess, in this game. Anyway, moving on. I went out of town again recently, and picked up a bunch of games, of course. Why would I go out of town without buying games? Come on. And I got quite a mixed bag. Went to the same place I went last time when I got those few pickups at EB Games and stuff like that. And I picked up some more cool stuff. We got Project X Zone 2. I really liked the first one, and I don't have very many fighting games for the 3DS, so it's cool to have another one. Then I picked up, for the 360 this time, Resident Evil 5, The Phantom Pain Day 1 Edition. And it was actually in the plastic, which is different for EB Games, which is basically Canadian GameStop. The exact same store, just a different name. Yeah, that was, I think, $20. So I was like, well, why not? I can compare it with the Xbox One version, see how terrible this is compared to it, or maybe it holds up and is good. I'd like that. And next up, we got a Wii game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Smash Up, which I believe is a fighting game, or maybe a beat 'em up. The descriptions on the back kind of make it sound like a bit of both, so either way, I'll be happy with it. Looks like a kick-ass game. And then speaking of fighting games, for the 360, I picked up Guilty Gear 2 Overture and Battle Fantasia. A couple games I didn't really hear much about, but look interesting to try out, and I'm kind of running out of games I need to get for the 360 that sound interesting to me, so anything new, I'm glad to hear of it and pick it up. Next up, I got a couple PS3 games. First up, we got Kane and Lynch 2 Dog Days, The White Knight Chronicles. I actually missed out on getting that when it was in town, so I figured I'd snag it. And yeah, all these games except for the games I mentioned being $20, these all ended up being between, I think, $4 and $8, so I couldn't say no to any of those. Next up, a game I got recently as the HD remaster, but I finally got the original version. We got Valkyria Chronicles, so awesome. Happy to have that, because I was a little bummed that I never got to own it on the PS3, and that was a decent price too. I think it was $15. And another one I had bouncing around in my Amazon cart for a long time, and I just couldn't quite pull the trigger on it. I got the Disgaea Triple Play Collection, which has 3, 4, and D2. So that's awesome. 3 games for I think $25. Can't say no to that. And they're all in one disc. So hopefully I don't lose the one disc, because then it'll be the bum out of losing 3 games. And next up, a couple of games I saw when I was there last time. You know, it was only about 2-3 weeks ago. But you know, I was looking for RPGs, and I'm like, man, does this place have a policy against them? Because all I could find was like Final Fantasy 13 and, you know, a couple of the ones that everybody has, you know, like if you don't have it, you don't like RPGs, basically. So I was just like, oh, of course. And then, you know, the only ones I did see were brand new, so they were like $60, $70, and I was like, yeah, I'm here for deals, I'm not here for new game price. So I was very delighted to see that when I went back, these games were a lot cheaper than before. First up, for Xbox One, I got Arland, the Warriors of Legend. I think it was $50 last time I was there, and it was down to $24.99, so awesome. Scooped it right away. They also had it for the PS4, but I was like, I don't really have very many, you know, RPG games for the Xbox One. And, you know, Xbox kind of sucks at getting RPGs, so if they get an RPG, I'll support them. And also another Koei Tecmo game, we got Knights of Azure for the PS4. I actually did pick this one up and look at it, and then put it back, bummed out, because it looked really cool, and I'm glad to grab that and try it out, add it to my small PS4 collection. Basically, I own the PS4 for games like this, you know, exclusive JRPGs that Xbox isn't going to get. And then next up, another cheapie. I don't even think they had this last time I was there. It was $14, but it's Arcania, The Complete Tale. I had Arcania Gothic 4, and I don't know what happened to it. I don't even think I ever got to even play it. I might have lent it out, but I don't think I did, because I only lend games to a very select few people I know who take care of games and don't just use them as coasters and whatnot. And any of those people would have given it back, so I'm thinking maybe it's in a box somewhere still, but that would be weird, because I don't think I have very many other games unaccounted for. Anyway, moving along, the last game for this pickup video is a brand new game. Just came out yesterday, and I was furious that they didn't get it the day of, because I could have played it pretty late into the night last night, not having to work till the afternoon today, but they didn't get it, and that was actually a huge fumble on their part, because it is Gears of War 4, which I consider to be like a huge game for the Xbox One. Like, I don't know why they wouldn't have that the day it comes out. They really drop the ball sometimes there at Walmart. But I could have got it yesterday, but I would have had to buy a new Xbox to get the bundle, and not just the Gears of War console bundle, a regular 1 terabyte white console that came with a download of the game, which is all types of unacceptable to me. I don't know why Gears of War would come with a white console. That seems like the most un-Gears thing to do. But anyway, got it now, happy to have it, can't wait to dig into it. I came home at lunch and installed it, so maybe I'll pop it in for a few minutes after I'm done this video and check it out. Moving along, I got a couple other things that aren't games but are definitely game related. On that trip out of town, I picked up this framed canvas painting. As you can see, it's all different pictures of Link in like stained glass style, the cartoonish Link that I originally boycotted, but now I love it just like all other Zelda stuff. Yeah, I got that to go in my new living room. You know, it would look nice in the game room, but there's limited wall space with all these games, so it's going to look cool above the TV in the living room, and my wife loves Zelda just as much as I do. Well, maybe not just as much, but close. She definitely loves those games. So, while I was out of town, we stopped by a costume shop with Halloween coming up right away, and I picked up first a Fallout beanie, and this badass Fallout power armor mask. I love it. I don't know if they were just planning on letting people do it themselves, but there's no air holes in this thing, and it's got hard plastic over the eyes, so as soon as you put this on and start breathing, it fogs the hell up and you can't see anything. Luckily, I'm not planning on being having power armor as part of my Halloween costume. It's actually just a showpiece I think would look badass in this room, and I'm right. So it was still cool to me. And I guess if you want, you could just drill holes or poke a hole in it somewhere, you know, where it would look like a vent would be in the mask. But, And at the same store, picked up myself a master sword so I can defend the game room from evil. And a couple other small things here. When I was ordering stuff from AliExpress, I noticed they also carry figures and statues, and I picked myself up the Figma Link. He's got multiple hands, multiple faces. He's a pretty badass dude, and he was only 20 bucks. So I ordered him, obviously, 20 bucks. Why not? And he came and he was in good shape, but the weirdest thing is he showed up in the plastic from inside the box, but the box showed up envelope flat, like in the box. So like in the box they shipped it in. So I thought that was the weirdest thing ever. It's like, good thing I planned on opening it. That might have bothered me. But yeah, the box is pretty cool too. You can kind of see what he's all capable of there. You can see his different faces, all that stuff. My only complaint with the guy actually is the hand holding onto the shield. There's a little handle, like there's a part that goes over his arm and then there's a little handle. And the handle part was fine, but the part that goes over his arm like came undone, so you could put his arm through it. And then getting it closed was just not happening. And then the other side let go, and I had to fight with it for probably 10 minutes to get it to actually stay on there. So I don't know how much I'm going to be switching up the hands and stuff. I think he's going to be holding that shield for life. Yeah, besides that, I think it's pretty cool for 20 bucks. Why not? You know, I'll probably pick a couple other things up from there, similar things like that. And then next up, a little while ago, I kind of forgot I picked it up. I mean, I watched it, but I forgot to put it in a video. Is Batman: The Killing Joke. The special edition comes with a little cool Joker figurine there. I really liked the Killing Joke graphic novel. It was one of my favorite Batman stories of all time. Is a lot of people, you know, it's probably one of the more grittier Joker stories from, you know, earlier on, you know, not super early on, like in the 80s, but when stuff was still kind of cartoony and stuff, this was more of a very realistic Joker story. So it was pretty cool to see that they were making the movie about it. But if they made it just on the graphic novel, it would have been like a, you know, 20-minute thing, and they made an actual movie out of it, which means they tacked on a little story which is pretty heavy into a Batgirl storyline, and it seemed kind of like a episode of the animated series, honestly. You know, it was a rated R movie, and I didn't really see much need for the rating. It was pretty cool. It just kind of was drawn out seeming when you're waiting for the actual Killing Joke part. It tied in there pretty loosely, so I guess it was acceptable, but all in all, it was a pretty decent movie. I need to give it another watch before I actually pass judgment on it, but, you know, the first part was kind of, yeah, definitely tacked on seeming, but, you know, good in its own right. Just not quite Killing Joke material. Anyway, moving along. Got a couple World of Nintendo figures here. First of all, I got the Metroid. Then we got Princess Zelda to go with my Ocarina of Time Link. And then next up, from what I can find online, I think these are actually pretty rare. Either that or people just treating them like they are. I saw this when I was looking through the other figures there, but there's a completely gold packaged Link figure. and it's called the Trophy Collection Link. I've never seen anything else like it. I looked it up on Amazon. They had nothing. I looked it up on eBay. I found one the first time I looked on it, and I think it was $250. I was like, yeah, I think I'll buy that for $14. I would have bought it if there was 12 of them anyway, even if it wasn't rare. But I'm like, this seems like something that's kind of rare. Someone's probably just going to blow it out of proportion and buy them all up and make them rare if they're not. So, you know, love my Link anyway. So, following suit with that, I also saw this and snatched it up. It's a Trophy Series Mario. So, you know, those end up being worth money. I'm never going to see it anyway because I buy things that I want to hold on to. So it could be worth a penny, or it could be worth what I paid for it, or it could be worth hundreds of dollars. I mean, if it gets insane, probably sell it then. But for now, I'm going to hold on to it. And that about does it for this pickup video. Thanks for sticking around. Another pretty lengthy one, but I'm going to have to start learning to make shorter ones here. Alright. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of all of the new pickups, and we'll keep more up to date so I don't have to do 45, 50-minute videos anymore. Alright, have a good day.